It was a cloudy autumn day in Ponyville. The inhabitants noticed a change in the temperature and began to put on scarves before walking out of their homes. The cold weather meant good business for the fashion boutique that provided warm clothes for customers. A little white filly hurried down the stairs at top speed. The scarf wrapped around her neck bobbed up and down as she scurried to the front door. Her small group, the Cutie Mark Crusaders, had yet another day of activities they had planned out and were looking forward to testing them out.
"Hold up there, Sweetie Belle!"
shouted a voice from over the desk where a piece of fabric was blocking the speaker from view.
"Remember, Sweetie, the weather doesn't look too promising today, so try to keep your shenanigans down to a minimum, okay?" "Come on, Rarity,"
said Sweetie Belle as she proudly proclaimed.
"You should know by now that in order for us to get our cutie marks, the Cutie Mark Crusaders must be ready to meet any challenge." "Right. Well, prepare to face the challenge of being grounded if you're not careful this time around,"
said Rarity sternly.
"I mean it, Sweetie. The weather Pegasi fell behind schedule again, so the winds will be strong, and according to Rainbow Dash, chances of a rain will be extremely high this afternoon."
Sweetie Belle rolled her eyes before agreeing that she would stay at one of her friends' houses if the weather got bad. "Absolutely not," said an annoyed orange mare named Applejack.
"Oh, come on, big sister,"
whined a just as annoyed filly named Applebloom.
"All my friends are expecting me to participate in the club's activities."
"Look, Applebloom," began Applejack, spitting out a couple of nails held in her teeth. "Normally, I would have no problem with y'all going about your business, but today isn't the best time for you to be doing such things."
"It's just a little rain on the horizon,"
Applebloom muttered under her breath. "A little rain, nothing," Applejack said, beginning to hammer nails into the ceiling of the barn. The Apple family's barn was due for another checkup. This time, the repairs couldn't have been more crucial. Ever since the weather Pegasi fell behind schedule once again, they warned Ponyville that there was a big rainstorm on the horizon. Applebloom sighed, knowing fully well that because of the storm, her club activities wouldn't be full of anything she and the rest of her club members would consider too exciting. The Pegasi just had to pick today to bring down the thunder. Seeing the look her little sister was giving her, Applejack sighed. "Look, Sugar Cube, I didn't say you can't be outside all day. Just be home by the afternoon, would you? The heavy weather's supposed to be around by then."
"Okay, I understand,"
said Applebloom, feeling slightly happier as she left her big sister and silent older brother to deal with repairing the gaps in the barn. Applebloom set off down the, for now, dry dirt road in search of her friends. The first Crusader she met up with was a little Pegasus named Scootaloo, who was riding her scooter and almost sped past her. Wanting to waste no time, the two rode off again in search of Sweetie Belle. Sure enough, they found her, but they didn't expect to run into two other fillies at the same time, one of which was pink with misty blue eyes that didn't seem to match her snooty attitude, and a tiara as a cutie mark. The other was gray with misty purple eyes and a fancy silver spoon as her cutie mark.
"Oh, great,"
groaned Scootaloo, coming to a stop.
"I didn't want to run into them today. Let's hurry and get Sweetie Belle before we're dragged into the mix."
As they approached the three fillies, they heard the pink filly say to Sweetie Belle,
"I just want to know where you're headed, Blank Flank. Where's the rest of the Blank Brigade?" "Right here, Diamond Tiara,"
growled Scootaloo, making her scooter come to a screeching halt.
"As much as we would like to hear what you and Silver Spoon have to say to us, we have no time to engage in pointless arguing today." "Nor do we,"
said Diamond Tiara dramatically.
"We too have places to be and ponies to meet. But I couldn't leave without knowing Sweetie here got back to her home planet." "Any planet that doesn't have you two in it sounds too good to be true,"
said Scootaloo, failing to keep her thoughts to herself.
Now, Silver Spoon,"
said Diamond Tiara, holding up her hoof as to silence her friend from retorting.
"Let's leave Sweetie Belle with the rest of her loser squad. We have to hurry and stock up supplies we'll be needing to keep us preoccupied during the storm.
Briefly, they left. Silver Spoon swiped Sweetie Belle in the face with her tail, and the two headed down the street laughing at what they thought was their own cleverness. The Crusaders watched them prance off and frowned at the unfortunate encounter.
Anyway,
Scootaloo started up.
what's the plan for today, girls? Are we going to do something exciting? And most importantly, what the older ponies would consider to be crazy wicked fun? I don't think so, Scootaloo,
said Sweetie Belle.
I think we're better off trying something simple. Something less likely to get us in trouble. Oh, please,
said Scootaloo, frowning slightly.
Trouble usually finds us. We don't go looking around for it. We don't wander around with a sign that says trouble come find us if you think you're bad enough. You gotta stop saying things like that,
said Apple Bloom, half humored, half worried.
I think you might be jinxing us if you do.
Scootaloo shook her head in disbelief.
Oh, come on, Apple Bloom. You know jinxes only happen when some pony like Twilight are able to cast them. Yeah, I guess you're right,
said Apple Bloom sheepishly.
All right, Cutie Mark Crusaders, let's head on out. Our cutie marks are just waiting to be discovered.
Throughout the day, the Cutie Mark Crusaders tried to put their best ideas into action. But thanks to the onset of bad weather, it made things impossible to be accomplished without a suitable crowd of ponies around to bear witness to their antics. The real blow was that the three fillies couldn't find anyone that needed help or anyone who had ideas that they had yet to try. Before too long, the afternoon came, and right on cue, the wind picked up rapidly. The three bowed their heads down against the wind as they made their way to the closest house available. Luckily, the closest house was Apple Bloom's. They hurried down the dirt road past the gate. When they reached the front door, they found much to their relief that it was unlocked. Upon opening the door, the three saw the rest of Apple Bloom's family already inside.
Apple Bloom? Oh, good. You're home. And your friends are here too, I see.
Sorry, Applejack,
said Apple Bloom.
we got caught in the storm and...
It's all right, Sugar Cube. Your friends will have to stay here till tomorrow, though. I suppose I'm gonna have to tell Rarity where you are, Sweetie Belle.
It's okay, Applejack. I told Rarity that I would be staying at a friend's house if I got caught in the storm.
Even still, I'd feel better letting her know either way,
said Applejack.
Granny Smith, Big Mac, let's go. If we're fast enough, we can last-minute shop before the heavy stuff starts falling down.
Yep,
said the tall red earth pony, making his way to the front door.
Apple Bloom, y'all know the rules. Don't open the door for any pony unless it's us, and if the power goes out, the lanterns are in the cabinet in the kitchen along with the matches.
Once Big Mac opened the door, it flung open from the force of the wind, making all three older ponies bow their heads. Applejack held onto her hat and said aloud,
Perhaps you ought to stay here, Granny Smith.
Don't be counting me out just yet, youngin',
shouted Granny Smith over the roar of the wind.
I can manage just fine.
All right then, Big Mac, let's go.
The three braved the storm outside as the door slammed shut behind them. Apple Bloom went over to the door to lock it and hurried over to the window to watch her family move down the dirt road. That at this point it was like watching a mini sandstorm. The loose leaves on nearby trees blew off branches and soared across the sky. The Crusaders watched as the rest of the apples disappeared out of sight, and they were left alone in the house, and probably the worst storm yet. Still, they weren't about to let the storm get in their way of their club activities. So, to pass the time, the three Crusaders thought up new ideas they could try once the storm passed. After they exhausted their brainstorming, the only thing they wanted to do was try one of their ideas.
Let's see,
said Apple Bloom, straightening up a piece of paper she had been taking notes on.
Since we can't go outside until the storm's over, that leaves us with inside activities. Either the cooking extraordinaire or the... How about this one?
Exclaimed Scootaloo, pointing to the second to last idea on the list. They looked at the name she was referring to, the Cutie Mark PIC.
What?
Sweetie Belle asked skeptically.
The Cutie Mark Paranormal Investigations Committee,
answered Scootaloo.
I know what it means, but I highly doubt there's anything paranormal in this house. Well, Let's get over with what we expect once we have the opportunity to try this idea out.
Their ideas ranged from typical hauntings to finding out what the Everfree Forest had yet to reveal in its vast, spooky environment. Then the likelihood of getting rid of the curses and hexes came to mind. At long last, they decided to try out cooking. However, to use Scootaloo's remark after the smoke cleared and Sweetie Belle was busy spraying the kitchen with scented spray,
That could have turned out worse.
after a while, the Crusaders went up to Apple Bloom's room, where they busied themselves with the only option they had left, reading. Scootaloo was flipping through the pages of a comic, while Sweetie Belle and Apple Bloom tried out lengthy stories from Applejack's collection of mysteries and suspense.
Hey, what do you think this means?
Asked Sweetie Belle, pointing at a sentence from what Apple Bloom could guess that involved several words that would surely drive Granny Smith up the wall if she ever heard them being spoken out loud, and something to do with a kitchen knife and a trash bag. From the floor, Scootaloo set her comic down and groaned.
I'm so bored. There has to be something we can do. Like what?
Asked Apple Bloom.
I don't know, just something, anything.
Setting their books down, they thought for a moment, and then sure enough, Scootaloo shot up, acting excited.
I know, how about a game of hide and seek in the dark? Really? You want to try that out of all things?
Asked Apple Bloom.
Think of it this way. When else is there going to be a better time to play it unless it's at night?
She had a point, so, shrugging, the three set up the game rules. Everywhere from Apple Bloom's room to the downstairs basement was acceptable. If caught, you were expected to stay with the seeker until all those hiding were found. With the rules set, everyone was ready to start. Apple Bloom shot off downstairs to turn off all the lights. Thanks to the heavy rain clouds, the sunlight wasn't going to be a problem. The three fillies were now left in almost total darkness. The only thing left to do was to figure out who would be the first seeker. Sweetie Belle volunteered, and the other two quickly set off to find hiding spot, while the white unicorn closed her eyes and began to count.
100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600.
Apple Bloom found a spot in a cabinet below the sink, while Scootaloo opened the basement door and crept down the stairs. Apple Bloom could hear Sweetie Belle reach 1,000 before speaking aloud into the quiet home.
Ready or not, here I come.
The sound of the bedroom door was heard, followed by more doors opening and closing. Before too long, hoofsteps came downstairs and made their way to the living room couch. Apple Bloom stayed perfectly still while listening to Sweetie Belle drawing closer, then distant. She waited to be startled out of her hiding spot, but instead she heard Sweetie Belle head down more stairs and everything went silent. Apple Bloom was about to switch hiding spots when all of a sudden a loud, horrified scream came from the basement, followed by laughter and an angered voice.
Scootaloo, don't do that!
Said Sweetie Belle, feeling her heart race.
I'm the one that's supposed to be doing the seeking, not you! Relax, Sweetie Belle,
Said Scootaloo, clutching her stomach as she fell over, positively howling in laughter.
I was going to sneak back upstairs, but then again, there was no way I was going to let an opportunity like that pass by. Right, sure,
Said Sweetie Belle, still annoyed as her heartbeat returned to normal.
just help me find Apple Bloom, would ya? Okay. Oh man, you should have seen your face when I leapt out. Your eyes were like 2 large dinner plates.
Apple Bloom rolled her eyes as she heard the two approach the top of the stairs. Scootaloo followed Sweetie Belle back up the stairs, where they reached Big Mac's room, until they finally spotted Apple Bloom's tail dart out of sight behind the living room couch.
I think we need to set some new ground rules,
Grumbled Sweetie Belle.
The seeker is the only one who's allowed to do the seeking, and no jumping out at any pony while you're hiding. Fine,
Said a disappointed Scootaloo.
I'll count this time.
While the orange Pegasus was counting, the white unicorn and the yellow earth pony hurried to find their hiding spots. As it turned out, Scootaloo was the master at seeking. In just a few minutes, she found Apple Bloom inside the laundry basket and Sweetie Belle under Apple Bloom's bed. Now it was Apple Bloom's turn, and when she had finished counting, the sound of rain had just begun hitting the roof. Apple Bloom began her search downstairs, since everyone so far had been found hiding there. Thinking that she might as well start off in the basement, she headed down. The stairs creaked with each step. Finding no one there, she headed back up. The rain continued to fall, hammering away at the roof. Apple Bloom was checking behind the couch when she thought she heard sound of movement coming not from inside the house, but outside. Drawing close to the front door, she could have sworn she heard the sound of some pony galloping through puddles.
Hey!
She exclaimed.
I thought we agreed that we could only hide inside the house.
The rain fell harder than ever outside. Apple Bloom hurried to the window to try to see who could be lurking. Try as she might, she saw nothing but wet grounds and heard the wind howling. She turned back only to leap onto the kitchen counter with fright.
You two could have said something,
she said, her heart racing.
We did,
said a hurt Sweetie Belle.
but you just sat there staring out the window.
Oh, sorry. I thought I heard some pony outside,
said Apple Bloom, calming down.
I must have just imagined it then.
I think we ought to stop for now,
said Sweetie Belle, and added with a glare towards the orange Pegasus.
Some of us have already been scared. How many times do I have to say I'm sorry?
Said Scootaloo.
Okay, the first scare was totally my fault, but the second one was all Apple Bloom. Like you said, we did call out to her. Only after I told you not to sneak up behind her,
Sweetie Belle added, frowning. Scootaloo shrugged, but agreed that a new game wasn't going to be much fun without more players anyway. The Crusaders headed back up the stairs all the while. Scootaloo questioned Apple Bloom on what she heard outside.
It sounded like some pony was out there,
said Apple Bloom.
but I guess I must have imagined.
Suddenly, right on cue, there was a flash of lightning and a knock came from the front door, making all three fillies jump. The knocking was soon replaced by the doorbell, and the three made their way down the staircase.
what the?
Exclaimed Sweetie Belle, looking down the stairs to the front door. The three noticed a shadow of something waiting outside.
Should we go answer?
Asked Scootaloo.
I don't think so. Applejack said not to answer the door for any pony while she and my brother and my granny were out,
replied Apple Bloom, looking at the shadow that waited on the other side of the door. For a while, the shadow remained still, but as Scootaloo moved closer to the door, whoever was outside laid something by the door and left.
That was weird.
Said Sweetie Belle.
Maybe it was the mailmare doing last-minute runs before... Scootaloo, what?
But Scootaloo had already made her way to the front door and unlocked it. Peering outside, she couldn't tell if it was night or not. The overcast made Ponyville appear dark and cold. The heavy winds from before had calmed down a bit, but small gusts of wind plucked a few leaves dangling from the branches of the apple trees in the field. Looking down the dimly lit road, she saw no sign of anyone. Scootaloo looked up at the sky, expecting to see a gray Pegasus flying away in the distance, but saw nothing but black clouds. She turned her attention to the ground. There, lying by her hooves, was a carefully wrapped package. Again, she expected to find a dent somewhere on the item given from the klutzy mailmare, but nothing of the sort had occurred. No damage on mail was certainly a first. Maybe someone else was delivering mail at this time. Scootaloo made to hold the package in her mouth and found it light in weight. Shrugging, she headed back inside, closing the door behind her.
What you got there, Scootaloo?
Inquired Sweetie Belle, making her way down the stairs with Apple Bloom following close behind.
Package,
replied Scootaloo, struggling to speak with a box dangling from her mouth. She went into the living room, placing the mail down on the ground. Apple Bloom looked for an address or a card describing whom it was from, but nothing could be found. It appeared to just be a box wrapped in plain brown paper with no address or return address. Thinking that it must be a mistake, Apple Bloom was about to suggest they leave the matter alone when Scootaloo made to untie the string.
Hey!
She shrieked as the package was snatched up by Apple Bloom and placed on the table.
What gives, Apple Bloom?
There's no note or stamp attached to this mail,
said Apple Bloom.
So
it's not ours. You can't just open something that doesn't belong to you.
What do we do then?
asked Sweetie Belle.
I think it should be fine here until Applejack and the rest get back. So until then, no pony open this package. Got that, Scootaloo?
Oh, come on, Apple Bloom. You weren't the least bit curious.
You said you were bored, right? So consider this a new game. The only difference is that the loser will probably get in trouble.
Fine, I got it. I won't open the package.
Good. Now how about we... Hey!
Scootaloo poked the box hard, and suddenly they heard something shift from inside, followed by something else. It started off faint, but then it picked up. The three placed their ears to the wrapped box and heard what sounded like drums? No, that couldn't be right. Drums playing by themselves? Just then, the drumming stopped and a new sound picked up.
What? A music box?
Questioned Scootaloo, pressing her ear against the box as hard as she could. The tune continued to play, but just then, they shot up from their spots, startled by another knock on the door, this time more forceful than the last.
Oh, for the love of... How could that be now?
Said Apple Bloom, marching over to the front door. As she approached it, she saw a large shadow through the crack. Maybe it was the mailman coming back to retrieve the package, or maybe not. Voices could be heard as they drew closer to the door.
Apple Bloom, come here.
Said Scootaloo, a humorous grin spreading across her face.
Look who it is.
Scootaloo began to snicker as the three looked out the window and saw, to their amazement, Diamond Tiara and Silver Spoon, who were waiting by the front door. Their coats and hair were soaked, and Silver Spoon carried a wet paper bag that looked like it could fall apart at any second.
What do you think?
Said Scootaloo to her friends.
I don't think that's up for discussion.
Said Sweetie Belle thoughtfully.
Not up for discussion.
Repeated Scootaloo.
Is there any need for me to ask you guys would you rather? Look, think of it this way. Spend the rest of the storm bored out of our minds, or let those two come in and make us feel worse than we already do?
You're being ridiculous, Scootaloo.
Said Sweetie Belle.
I doubt that Diamond Tiara or Silver Spoon would start anything in this weather.
Wouldn't they?
Shaking her head, Sweetie Belle headed over to the front door and opened it.
I told you already, Silver Spoon. Do you see any pony else around here? At last, thank you for... On second thought, come on, Silver. Let's try somewhere else.
Don't let us stop you.
Came Scootaloo's voice from inside.
Scootaloo!
Snapped Sweetie Belle before calling out to the retreating backs of the two fillies.
Diamond, Silver, wait! Would you like to come in? It's pretty bad outside right now. Thanks, but we'll take our chances.
Said Diamond Tiara, refusing to look at the white unicorn.
Okay then, if you insist. I tried, guys! Diamond, wait. And maybe we should take her up on that offer.
Said Silver Spoon.
And stay with a blank for the rest of the storm? Not a chance!
Just then, another flash of lightning was seen as the two tensed up in fright, as a loud crack of thunder followed behind. With the speed of a cheetah, Diamond reached the front door first, and before she had even begun to knock, it opened, showing Sweetie Belle.
May I take your bag, Silver?
She asked, inviting them in. Silver Spoon and Diamond Tiara walked inside, tracking in mud. Apple Bloom saw this and hurried to get towels for the new guests. Scootaloo was beside herself, looking at the two fillies that had just entered her friend's house.
Is there something you want to say to my friends?
She inquired.
Oh, right.
Said Diamond Tiara, accepting a dry towel.
Next time, I'll be sure not to track mud in. That's not what I meant, but I suppose it's a start.
Now that Diamond Tiara and Silver Spoon were inside Apple Bloom's house, they looked around, taking note of who else was all there as well. Scootaloo saw a frown form on Diamond's face as she saw that all three Crusaders were present. Her eyes caught sight of the package laying on the table and headed over.
What is this?
She asked.
I thought you would know what mail looks like when you see it, Diamond.
Said Scootaloo.
Scootaloo!
Exclaimed Sweetie Belle, but Diamond's eyes flashed dangerously towards the orange Pegasus.
I know a box when I see one, blank.
Diamond shot back.
What I mean is what's inside it.
No idea.
said Scootaloo plainly.
Really? You haven't opened it yet? Could it be that just like your failure to fly, you also...
The package was a mistake!
Spoke Applebloom before Diamond could add the finishing blow.
Got delivered here by accident?
I see.
Said Silver Spoon.
Lost mail, why are the lights off? It's not nighttime yet, is it? We were playing a game before you showed up.
Said Sweetie Belle. Diamond and Scootaloo were still staring daggers at each other when Diamond's ears twitched and she started to look around as if something was next to her.
What's that sound?
It's still doing that?
Asked Scootaloo, forgetting her anger for a moment.
What are you talking about?
Said Diamond.
The package was making sounds before you two showed up. Is it still doing that?
Do you hear it?
Asked Silver Spoon.
I hear nothing.
Said Applebloom, making her way to the table, but stopped when she heard the sound. It started off faint, but then it became clear to everyone. The sound of drums playing was no longer coming from the box, but from the basement. They stood in silence, listening to the rhythm of the drums were giving off. The cool breeze from the overhead fan stopped as another flash of lightning shone from outside, followed by thunder. The only light from upstairs went out, leaving the room in total darkness. Silver Spoon approached the basement door and opened it. The drums continued to play from below. She made to flip the switch, but no lights came on.
The power must have gone out,
she said to the other fillies behind her. Scootaloo approached the steps, and seeing that everyone was waiting for her to make her first move, she took a deep breath before heading down the steps. Applebloom followed her down with a lantern held in her mouth. Soon, everyone else followed, and together they searched the basement for the source of noise. Still, the drumming continued even as they searched high and low for the sound. As Silver Spoon looked behind the steps, the drumming grew faint, and when she backed away, the volume picked up again.
Where's it coming from?
Asked Applebloom.
I don't know,
Said Scootaloo.
This is all very funny, you three, but the joke's over.
Said Diamond aloud.
What are you talking about?
Demanded Scootaloo.
Come on, Blank Blanks, enough is enough. Tell us where the speakers are hidden.
We ain't doing anything.
Said Applebloom, starting to get mad.
Well, some pony is, and when we find out the trick,
But what she and Silver Spoon would have done, they never found out. Just then, drums created a loud bang, making all three fillies scream as the rhythm quickened. The fillies rushed back upstairs where the sound's volume had increased. As Scootaloo hurried over to the package, the drums came to a stop.
Applebloom, I know you said not to, but I just gotta know what's making that sound. No, Scootaloo, we mustn't open what isn't ours,
Said Applebloom.
After hearing all of that, there's no way you're not curious too. Come on! If I can open it, maybe I can find a way to make it stop. Maybe I accidentally pressed something when I poked it.
step aside.
Said Diamond.
I'll open it.
I wouldn't do that.
Said Applebloom. It was too late. Diamond had already untied the string and was tearing away at the wrappings. The box was the only thing remaining now,
Silver, find me something to get the tape off.
ordered Diamond. Silver Spoon came back a second later with scissors held in her mouth. Diamond took them and pierced the hole where the tape had been holding the box closed at the top. Once she was done, cutting the tape loose, she opened the box that emitted a strange glow of light. Even Applebloom was in awe as she and Sweetie Belle approached the table. The glow died out, and inside the package was a small chest. Diamond took the chest out of the box and placed it on the table for everyone to see.
Is that it?
Asked Scootaloo.
What did you expect?
Something to come flying out once I opened it?
Maybe.
Diamond flipped the closure of the chest and opened it. A music box laid inside. They saw a crank that would make the music box play once it was wound. Diamond took the music box and showed it to Sweetie Belle, who looked questioningly at it.
Well, what are you waiting for? Use your magic to turn the handle. You Could have asked nicely.
Sweetie Belle grumbled and concentrated on the handle. Nothing happened.
Figures.
Said Diamond, grinning wickedly.
I thought you wouldn't be able to. Very well, I'll do it.
Using her hoof, she turned the handle twice, 3 times, and let it go. The handle turned backwards, playing a soft tune.
No drums,
said Silver.
Yes, but we heard this music box too,
said Scootaloo.
Well, I'm satisfied,
said Diamond, shrugging off the odd experience.
Don't you want to know where the drumming was coming from?
Asked Apple Bloom.
I already know where it was coming from, but you 3 won't admit that you're behind it. Now, if you excuse me, Silver, stay down here at the Blank Brigade as long as you like, but I'm going to take a nap. Apple Bloom, you don't mind if I crash in your room. Of course you don't. Later, losers.
The 4 remaining fillies stared at the staircase where Diamond had gone up and continued to inspect the music box a while longer before they too had enough and were growing tired. They too found spots to lay down and rest. Silver Spoon took the lantern Apple Bloom was using and went upstairs to join Diamond.
Can't say to warn you guys, but that will do, Scootaloo,
came Apple Bloom's annoyed voice from the kitchen as she searched for another lantern.
Why did you have to let them in, Sweetie Belle?
I thought they wouldn't try anything at a time like this,
said Sweetie Belle innocently.
Yeah, it's not looking that way now, is it? Relax, Scootaloo. After the storm is gone, they will be too. Now let's get some rest.
I hope your family's okay out there,
said Sweetie Belle.
Yeah, they should be fine,
said Apple Bloom.
They probably got held up in the market and are stuck there until the storm clears.
The 5 fillies slept for quite some time after that. The dark house was all quiet except for the pattering of the rain on the roof and the occasional snores coming from upstairs. The open box was flipped over on the floor. The chest and music box lay open on the table, undisturbed. Apple Bloom awoke, thinking that she heard something coming from the basement. Seeing that the door was still open, she drowsily walked over to it and pushed it closed. Although she couldn't see it, something made the air around her go cold. She could see her breath as she exhaled. When she left the spot, the air became warm again.
Weird,
she thought to herself as she dropped back on the couch. Upstairs, Diamond Tiara slept on Apple Bloom's bed, while Silver Spoon had just left the floor to go to the bathroom. Diamond turned in her sleep only to hear a familiar sound coming from somewhere in the room. She turned again, groaning. This time the noise grew louder. Diamond shot up from the bed and looked around.
Nice, Silver.
She said, smirking.
Really nice. You found the speakers, haven't you? Well, come on. Let me see it. And maybe it's time for a little payback.
The closet door opened, and Diamond stared into it.
Okay, Silver, that's enough. You got me. Now come on out.
Just then, a toilet flushed from the bathroom, and Silver Spoon came back, rubbing her eyes.
I got you how?
She asked, yawning. Diamond's eyes shrank as she and Silver heard the sound of the music box coming from inside the closet.
Did you bring the music box up here with you?
She hissed over to a just as nervous Silver Spoon.
No,
Silver replied. The music played as Diamond approached the closet and reached inside looking for the box. At last, her hoof touched it and the music stopped.
I got it.
She said.
Now let's get back to the blank blink. Ah!
Diamond withdrew her hoof from the closet, and shaking like a leaf, she and Diamond backed away as the song picked up again.
What happened?
Inquired Silver, looking just as terrified.
There's something in there with it.
Diamond shouted back.
Would you guys keep it down up here?
Said a sleepy Scootaloo from behind, making them jump.
You!
Diamond pointed an accusing hoof at the dazed Pegasus.
You did this.
Did what?
Forget it. Just take your music box and get out of here.
Music box?
Yes, the music box from downstairs. Take it and leave.
What are you talking about? Hey, what the?
Scootaloo pulled out the music box that was still playing. Now fully awake, Scootaloo couldn't believe it. The music box was downstairs on the table last she checked, so how could it have gotten up here? Diamond Tiara let out a small whimper as she and Silver Spoon backed out of the room.
What's gotten into you two?
Silver pointed to the handle where a small thing was hanging on it, cackling madly. She tossed the music box aside where it landed on Apple Bloom's bed. The small creature hanging onto the handle let go, tumbling onto the bedspread, clutching at its stomach as it roared with laughter. Scootaloo stared down at the strange little man. He was only 2 inches tall, with a long hooked nose, squinty blue eyes, and a bald head, which accentuated the white tufts of hair above each ears. Its toothpick-like arms and legs beat the bedcloth as his laughter continued. When it spotted the 3 fillies, it stared at them sheepishly before snapping its fingers, and with a small crack, it vanished.
What was that thing?
Squeaked Diamond, close to tears.
I don't know.
Said Scootaloo.
Where?
But just then, 2 screams came from downstairs. Scootaloo pushed her way past Silver and Diamond and rushed down, skipping 2 steps at a time. When she reached her friends, she saw the lights were flickering on and off. Pots and pans were being flung at the scared fillies hiding behind the couch.
Scootaloo, what's going on?
Screamed Sweetie Belle, ducking as another pot was flung at her.
I don't know,
Replied Scootaloo from the bottom of the stairs.
but I think Diamond and Silver found out what's making all the noise. Whatever it is, it's messing up the kitchen.
Shouted Apple Bloom as from somewhere out of sight, something shattered.
What is that thing?
Squeaked Sweetie Belle, poking out from behind the side of the couch to see the small creature dancing on top of a turned-over pot and waving his hands around lazily as more things levitated and hurled themselves around the kitchen. When it saw her, it snapped its fingers again and vanished. Everything that was once hovering in mid-air came falling down with a tremendous crash. Apple Bloom darted to the now messy kitchen. A open container of milk was dripping the last of its contents on the floor. Flour bags lay scattered on the tops of shelves, and pots, pans, plates, and cups were either cracked or broken.
Is it over?
Diamond called out to Scootaloo.
I don't think so.
Said Scootaloo.
We gotta catch that thing somehow before... Hey, where do you think you're going?
At first, I thought you 3 were strange enough, but now I see what kind of things you keep around your house. You're not just weird, you're a bunch of freaks!
May I remind you that you're the one who opened the package in the first place, Diamond.
Spat Scootaloo.
It's just as much your fault as it is mine for bringing the package inside.
Yeah, well, next time you'll know better.
And before Scootaloo could make a move towards the 2 bullies, Diamond picked up a pot laying by her hooves and stared at Scootaloo threateningly.
Stay back! I'm warning you! Blank, I'm armed! Now, if you'll excuse us, we're leaving! Silver, the door, if you please.
Silver Spoon made to turn the doorknob, but it wouldn't budge. Silver tried again, this time using all her strength to force the door open. It had absolutely no effect other than tying her out. Diamond gave Silver the pan, tried herself, but failed.
I think whatever that thing is has already made a decision for you. Now, I can't believe I'm actually going to say this, but are you going to help us catch it or not?
What?
Diamond asked, taken aback by this.
Well, what about it? Are you? Because you might need an extra pair of eyes to search.
The Cutie Mark Crusaders went back upstairs to get some pillows, and in no time they came back down tossing 4 extras at Diamond and Silver before they disappeared into the kitchen. Moments later, they came out, geared with pots and pans that were strapped to the pillows around their bodies, like a full suit of armor, and colanders as helmets.
Go on,
said Apple Bloom, tossing the 2 perplexed fillies pots and pans of their own.
gear up. We're about to start hunting this thing down.
If you think we're gonna put that ridiculous excuse for protection on, then...
A sudden giggle of high-pitched laughter made Diamond rethink her statement, and in a few more minutes all 5 fillies were geared up and ready to begin the hunt. Apple Bloom went downstairs to the basement alone, leaving Sweetie Belle with Silver Spoon to check the rest of the kitchen and living room, while Diamond, Tiara, and Scootaloo began searching upstairs. Diamond made Scootaloo check back inside Apple Bloom's room while she investigated Big Mac's. Scootaloo avoided the music box altogether while she checked behind the cabinet, under the bed, and finally inside the closet. Both sides came out empty-handed as they continued their search in the remaining bedrooms. It didn't take too long before Scootaloo's door slammed shut on her, and Diamond was lifted from the floor, screaming like a banshee. Her makeshift helmet fell to the floor with a clang, and she was thrown out of the room, colliding into the wall, and slid down completely in shock. At the same time, a surge of anger for being jumped like that made her forget about her fear, and she stood up. Marching her way to the closed door, Scootaloo was pounding on it. She opened it and put a hoof on Scootaloo's mouth to quiet her.
I found it!
There was something about Diamond's attitude that made Scootaloo retreat several steps before she allowed herself to be led to Big Mac's room. Diamond picked up her colander and placed it back on her head before looking up at the ceiling where she had just been hoisted.
Very clever.
She snapped at the empty spot.
Yes, very funny. Sneaking up behind me like that. Well, two can play at this game. No more Miss Nice Pony.
Diamond, said Scootaloo, unsure if she should approach the raging pink pony.
What?
Diamond shot back.
I think it's gone.
Well then, shall we look somewhere else? Oh, would I get my hands on that little crate?
She stormed out of the room, muttering angrily under her breath. Scootaloo kept her distance just in case Diamond might mistake her for the creature if she got too close. Just as the two reached the top of the stairs, they felt the house shake, and in a matter of seconds, they felt it lift. Before any one of them could cry out, the house flipped upside down.
See?
Said Scootaloo, smiling away the shock of standing on the ceiling.
Bet you're glad you decided to wear this silly get-up now, huh?
Oh, shut up!
Diamond snapped.
Let's just figure out a way to get to the others.
They made their way across the ceiling until they spotted the rest of the group, already discussing a plan of action. Sweetie Belle and Silver Spoon and Apple Bloom were covered in flour. Silver Spoon's glasses were cracked and bent awkwardly on the side.
This is getting out of hand!
Yelled Apple Bloom before sneezing.
I know.
Agreed Scootaloo.
If we don't do something fast, who knows what else that thing might do?
We saw it back in the kitchen.
Said Silver Spoon, wiping her glasses clean with a napkin.
When Sweetie Belle and I went to grab it, it snapped its fingers and exploded the flour bags.
I came back up the stairs in case they needed help when the basement door slammed behind me.
Rumbled Apple Bloom.
Then that's where we have to go.
Said Diamond, looking determined.
How?
Asked Silver, noting the difficulty of the predicament. Before they could figure out how to reach the door handle, the house began to tilt. They felt themselves sliding to one part of the house to the next. All the while, mad laughter echoed from the basement.
Almost got it. No, I missed.
I got it!
Squeaked Sweetie Belle. She held on tight to the doorknob and felt herself being grabbed by the tail. Then another sharp tug. Then another. The Crusaders and company held on to each other's tails as Sweetie Belle made to open the door. It worked, but she found herself on the opposite end as the house tilted again, and she collided into the wall and was pinned against it by the now open door. The rest of the group flung themselves down into the basement. Sweetie Belle clutched the door and slid between the gap and let go just as the house made to swing the door shut. She let go and landed on top of a recovering Diamond Tiara.
Thanks for breaking my fall,
she said, rubbing her head. Diamond only groaned in response. The house turned one last time before landing right side up. The creature giggled happily, rocking back and forth on the shelf before standing up, staring down at the fillies before it.
All right, this is it,
said Scootaloo.
What's the plan?
What plan? So far, all I was focused on was getting down here,
muttered Silver.
What? Leave it to me, girls,
whispered Sweetie Belle, and she crept off to the side. The creature eyed the 4 remaining ponies and cracked its fingers before giving them a look that simply said, "Come at me." Once the fillies surrounded the creature, and in a split second, they attacked. Scootaloo dove first, but the creature snapped its fingers and disappeared, only to reappear on top of her helmet, after she had crashed into the wall. Applebloom charged next, only to be levitated and thrown crashing into Silver Spoon. It was just Diamond, Tiara, and the creature now. The creature leapt off Scootaloo's head, and they glared at each other before Diamond sighed and took off the colander helmet and said in a bored tone,
You know what I can't stand? I hate being jumped. It's ridiculous to sneak up on some pony. You did that to me upstairs, and I don't take kindly to being scared. So, with all that being said, do you know what they call what I'm doing right now?
The creature looked beyond confused and scratched its temple before looking up, seeing a glass cylinder fall on top of him.
A diversion. Who's laughing now? Good job, girls.
Squeaked Sweetie Belle happily.
You kept them busy long enough for me to get this.
Great! But what is it? It looks like just any ordinary jar to me,
said Scootaloo, rubbing her head.
It's what I see my sister use all the time whenever she wants to reuse leftover fabric. It's supposed to have an unbreakable spell on it.
And how's that supposed to help if that thing can just go anywhere at once in a snap?
Something tells me that I won't be doing any more mischief for today,
said Sweetie Belle. When they looked at the jar, the creature inside paced the small space he was trapped in and tapped the glass and mimed something to them.
I think he wants me to let him go,
said Sweetie Belle.
No!
The rest of her group cried in unison, but the creature inside the jar tapped on the glass again and performed all of the motions of a pinky promise.
Sounds good to me,
Sweetie Belle said, lifting the jar up and carried it back upstairs before anyone could object. Sure enough, once Sweetie Belle brought the jar over to the table where the chest lay open, the creature snapped its fingers and disappeared once again. But to everyone's surprise, except Sweetie Belle's, the creature reappeared in front of the chest with the music box lying beside him. He hopped into the chest and waited for Sweetie Belle to place the music box inside with him, and closed the chest, locking it from the outside.
How did y'all know you could trust it?
Asked Applebloom.
I didn't,
replied Sweetie Belle.
Sometimes you just have to trust what others say they will do.
That's great and all, but do you think he could fix everything before you put him back?
Applebloom was eyeing the house in disbelief. So many things were out of place, and the shattered glass on the floor was just the least of their worries. There came a knock from inside the chest. Sweetie Belle opened it, and the creature inside hoisted himself up. The fillies' mouths dropped when the creature waved his hands around and sent everything soaring back to the proper place as if they had never left, leaving only piles of powder, broken eggs, and shattered glass and plates behind it. It lowered itself back into its home and closed the chest on himself with another wave of his hand.
Wow, but that's not everything,
said Applebloom.
We can handle the rest,
said Sweetie Belle.
You did say place everything back, not sweep the floor or wipe the counter.
When Applebloom's older siblings and grandmother returned, they found the 5 fillies hard at work cleaning the floor.
We're back, Applebloom. What in tarnation are y'all doing?
Careful,
said Diamond Tiara, scrubbing the kitchen counter with a wet towel.
I just mopped there.
Okay, I'll ask again. Applebloom, what are y'all doing? Cleaning,
said the little sister, finishing rewrapping the box that had the dangerous chest in it.
I can see that,
said Applejack, watching the 4 other fillies before pulling her little sister aside.
What are y'all doing hanging out with Diamond Tiara and Silver Spoon? I thought you didn't get along. It's a long story,
said Applebloom.
But do you see that box behind us? What box? The box right behind... But it was here a second ago. You're kidding. It's gone?
Scootaloo said, shooting up from the floor.
Where did it go? Did I miss something?
Asked Applejack.
Scoot,
began Diamond, but then she said,
I opened a package that arrived at your doorstep and some type of creature came out of it. I see. So, did it cause a mess?
asked Granny, taking note of the missing powder bags.
You have no idea,
said Diamond.
And did it have a habit of vanishing once it was seen? Yes, but How did you know? Ah, come now, youngin'. Do you think y'all are the only one to see an imp? What? An imp. They're quite harmless, but they are mischievous and do love pranks.
Harmless?
said Scootaloo.
It would have destroyed this house if we didn't catch it.
Well, I'm glad you did that, little filly,
said Granny Smith happily.
At least you don't have to worry about it anymore. They're usually good at going back to their homes once they've been caught. You see, to them, it's all a big game that they're playing.
The 5 fillies sunk to the floor sighing as Applejack and Big Mac exchanged looks of confusion. Once the storm had passed, the Cutie Mark Crusaders escorted Diamond Tiara and Silver Spoon outside the gate of the yard.
Thanks for helping us back there,
said Apple Bloom, holding a hoof for Diamond to take.
I'd say we'd make a good team when you ain't being mean to us.
Diamond looked like she might take the hoof, but then her old self came back.
Are you kidding me? After what you three put us through, there's no way we'd ever team up with you. Do every pony a favor and keep the crusading business to yourself from now on. Come on, Silver, we're leaving.
Silver followed Diamond Tiara. Both of them turned back once they reached the end of the now muddy dirt road and shouted in unison.
Thanks!
You know something, girls? She's right,
said Apple Bloom.
She is?
asked Sweetie Belle.
Yeah, we will never team up with them again. And as for our crusading, we have accomplished one of the things on our list. Since the imp is a paranormal creature, we were able to start the Cutie Mark Crusader PIC if we want to.
Meanwhile, in Canterlot, Princess Celestia was busy finishing up a letter for Princess Cadence in shining armor when there was a loud pop and a wrapped box appeared and fell to the floor at her hooves. "Another mail delivery?" she said, aloud, looking at the package. "What's this? No address or stamps? Luna, did you order something from those magazines again?" She eyed the package again for a brief moment before shrugging and leaving the letter and mail behind, so she could find her sister. As her long flowing tail disappeared from sight, a faint drumming sound began to pound away from inside the package, and soon it stopped, leaving only a high-pitched giggle to follow.